For Creamer Media's Polity, I'm Shannon de Rehove. Beauty brand Sorbet's CEO, Ian Fuhr, joins me to discuss his new book, Get That Feeling, about the sorbet journey. Your entrepreneurial journey started in 1976 when you were just 22 years old. Tell us about this time and the most important lessons you've learned over the years.
Yes, I must tell you, it was a very naive 22 years old. I had just been, well, in fact, I dropped out of university, firstly, and then I worked for Gallo Records for a while, and I was a singer. I used to sing in cocktail bars. And then in 1976, my brother came back from America, and he said to me that he had seen a business called Kmart in the States, and he suggested we should open up a Kmart in South Africa. And I didn't know anything about retailing or about discounting or about the black market that we were going to be targeting or managing people or anything. So I said what most naive 22-year-old boys would say. I said, sure, let's do this. And we did. We opened the store in 1976, 1st of July, in fact, which was 2 weeks, exactly 2 weeks after the start of the Soweto uprisings, on the 16th of June 1976. So we were right in the middle of a fairly traumatic and chaotic environment. And it was really a huge, very steep learning curve for me, and I had to try and understand the business, try and understand the retailing aspects, the discounting, the stocking, the suppliers, in terms of the lessons I'd learned. Most importantly was how to manage people, and because initially I had absolutely no clue. And then I learned through a number of different incidents, and which are quoted in the book, about understanding the importance of the socio-political environment in which people lived. And once you understood that, it was much easier to deal with the people and the way they thought and the way they behaved. So that was a very important journey for me. And I learned about racism, and I learned about South African politics, and I took a big step in that direction. And we were one of the first companies to have black directors and black shareholders back in 1977. And yeah, so that's where we took it from there.
Your brand Sorbet is well known in the beauty industry. What drew you to this industry, and why did you decide to venture into the franchise model for the company?
Well, as you read in the book, I've been involved in a number of different industries, not just different businesses. Each time I started a new business, it was in a different industry. I didn't try and extend my knowledge and experience in the same industry and do something else. I decided each time that I wanted to go into a completely new environment, a new challenge, which I enjoy. That's the challenge for me, is to trying to maybe rock the boat in a new environment. And so I was looking for something to do, and I was lying on a massage table, believe it or not, having a massage. And the beauty therapist that was doing the massage for me said, why don't you look at the beauty industry? There's a gap there in terms of beauty salons. And at first I thought she was joking, because this is definitely not the face for the beauty industry. But I then decided to have a look at it, and I discovered that there were no branded chains at all in the South African beauty salon environment, and yeah, that there was a gap. The only problem was, there was a gap in the business, but whether or not there was business in the gap was the problem. But anyway, I decided to give it a go, and we bought a couple of existing beauty salons, and we learned the business. And that was in 2004. In fact, on the 1st of September now, it'll be exactly 10 years since we bought that first salon in Bedfordview. So we bought 5 salons over a period of about 6 months, and then we developed the Sorbet brand, and then rebranded all of those stores and launched the brand in August 2005. So we've been going for nearly 9 years. Well, we have been going for 9 years now as a brand.
And what made you want to move it into a franchise model?
We found that managing this type of environment, and it's very service orientated, you can't do it by remote control. It's much more effective if you've got somebody on site that has a stake in the game, as it were, that's made the investment, that can be there to ensure that the guests are always happy and are being served well. And we couldn't do that effectively from a head office. So what we found as well was, each time we sold an existing store to a franchisee, that the turnover went up by about 20% on average, without fail. So the more we saw that, the more we realized that this is a franchise business. And now we have 104 stores, of which 98, I think, are franchised. But we had to open, the important thing, and perhaps I should mention this, we had to open 22 company-owned stores before we got our first franchisee. So the issue of developing a brand was critical.
What advice would you give to people starting a franchise business for the first time?
I think now, having the experience of 90-odd franchises and franchisees, I think a lot of people come into franchising with the view that this is very entrepreneurial. And it's not really. It's having a business, but it's not necessarily being entrepreneurial, because you're working in very, very strict confines. So you can't really do your own thing. So it's having a business for yourself, but not by yourself. And that's what it is. It's just a secure and safer way of starting a company. But if you really want to go and do your own thing and be highly entrepreneurial, it's probably not the right environment for you. From our point of view, when we select franchisees, we look at passion mainly. To me, 80% passion and 20% the rest. And the good news about our franchisees is that the large majority, if not all of them, have been guests of ours before they became franchisees. So they experienced the brand themselves, loved it so much that they decided they want to go into the business.
Tell us more about the brand name Sorbet. Why did you choose this name? And did you have any difficulty marketing the business with this name, which conjures images of ice cream rather than beauty products?
Indeed, indeed. I'll tell you how it happened. We went to a branding consultancy right in the early days, and we told them what we wanted to do, and we sat around a table and we brainstormed stuff, and then they went away and they came back with a list of names, 11 names exactly, and I think third or fourth on that list was Sorbet. And when I first saw it, it just immediately struck a chord with me. It was the ice cream, it was about freshness, it was tantalizing, it was fun, it was colorful, all of those things. And yes, in terms of marketing, it did take a while. You know, people thought we were going to compete with Milky Lane as opposed to Dream Nails or whatever other, you know, beauty salons that were out there at the time. And yes, it took a while, and landlords, you know, was a bit of a struggle. They said, no, we've got enough ice cream stores and stuff. But then, you know, the first 4 years we call the dark days of Sorbet, which were very tough. And we struggled, and there were quite a few times during those days where we were looking over the precipice and wondering whether or not this business was ever going to make it. And then once we started franchising in 2009, that's when it started to turn. And now not too many people think it's ice cream anymore.
Tell us about the company. How many stores are now in operation? How many people are employed? And what can guests or clients expect next?
Well, we have about 1,000 people at the moment across the group. That includes all of our citizens. We call them citizens of the Sorbet community. We have a slightly different lingo in our line of work. That includes the franchisees and the support office, but there's about 1,000 people in total, of which about 800 are therapists and nail technicians and stuff like that. And I think the biggest challenge for us has always been about the service. And perhaps I can spend a little bit of time on that. Our philosophy and our culture is what I believe is the competitive advantage that we have as a business. And throughout the book, I speak about the importance of creating a culture which is based on people and service rather than profit and reward. And if you get the people side right, and you can get people to understand the importance and the power of service, then it'll be successful. The problem is most people come to work to make money, and we try and convince them that they don't come to work to make money. They come to work to serve people, and if they serve them well, they'll make money. And that is a paradigm shift that we work very hard on. I do all the induction training myself throughout the group. So every single new person that joins the community comes through my induction training. And I spend a lot of time explaining the business philosophy and the culture and what we stand for, what we believe in. And I think that's been an important ingredient in this business. For some people, success is about wealth and money and power and influence. And that's, I suppose, what I was when I started out as a young and naive 22-year-old. But now I have a very different notion of what success is, and I believe that success is more about the contribution that you make to other people's lives rather than enriching your own.
What do you hope to achieve next?
Well, we have a whole lot of brand extensions that are underway. We now have the Sorbet Dry Bar concept. We've already got 6 of those stores, and the demand from a franchising point of view is growing. And at the moment we still get between 25 and 30 new franchise applications a week here at Sorbet for new stores, so there's a tremendous amount of growth in the existing salon business still, and we could comfortably, I think, get to 200 of our normal salons. And then there's the dry bar, and then a new and exciting development which starts this month really, in about 3 weeks time, is our first Sorbet Man. So we're going into men's grooming, which will be hair and skin and nails and everything. Bit of a newish concept in men's grooming. So we're very excited about that launch. And then the other thing is we've also launched a new brand called Candy & Co. Candy & Co is an ethnic hair salon brand. And we've launched our first store, that was in May. So hopefully, of all these new brands and extensions, there'll be lots to look forward to. And finally, we're opening our first store in the UK, probably within the next 6 to 8 months, our first salon there. So I think the brand will start to grow, hopefully internationally as well.
That was Sorbet CEO Ian Fuhr talking to Creamer Media's Polity about his book, Get That Feeling.